Welcome to Stories After Midnight. Today we'll be reading I Am Not My Body's Master. It's from a collection of stories by Tobias Wade called 54 Sleepless Nights. I really hope you enjoy it, and if you do, consider picking yourself up a copy. But let's get started. I thought I was going to die when my truck slid off the icy road and into the ravine. The screech of brakes, the roar of lumber exploding from the cargo bed, the terrible stillness as the truck turned in the open air. Then the wave of sound catches up to me, pummels me, rips my soul from my body until everything lies still. Until I couldn't tell if there was anything left of me to save. I remember lying on my side amidst the broken glass, trying to move one finger, one toe at a time. The pain is slow at first, but gradually the adrenaline drains from my system and is replaced by the suffocating pressure of 1,000 sourceless wounds, all blending together into a single, painful throb. I was lucky to only lose my right hand, the surgeon said. It was pulverized almost beyond recognition, and they had to cut it off, but not to worry, I'd be back behind the wheel in no time. He talked as though my life's ambition was to drive trucks, but that was only a job to keep me alive, not something to live for. I didn't have any medical questions to ask him, only whether I could take my broken hand home with me in a glass jar. I'd never play the piano again. That's all I could think about while I politely listened to one person after another congratulate me on pulling through. A lifetime of compromises and missed opportunities, all building toward the day when I could show the world what I was really good for. A lifetime of biding my time and waiting for a chance that would never come. I stayed in bed for a long time after that. I blamed it on the injuries, but honestly, the rest of me was perfectly functional after a couple of days. I used to fall asleep dreaming of a crowded concert hall, an audience hanging in rapture at my every note. I can't even entertain the fantasy anymore. My dreams have been troubled since the accident, but none disturbed me so much as watching my disembodied hand play the piano without me. At first, I kept the glass jar with my hand on my bedside table, but after the second recurrence of that dream, I decided to move it into the closet instead. That only lasted a few hours before I had to take it out again and look at it again. My lost hand was all I could think about. I even imagined catching glimpses of it out in the corner of my eye, hanging on one of the cupboards or resting on the piano, or even turning slowly on its own accord inside its glass jar. Of course, the hand was never really there when I looked closely, but that wasn't enough to shake the phantom presence from my mind. Then came the day when the glass jar was empty. My first reaction was to check the piano, laughing at myself for even entertaining the thought. I had started drinking lately to help me fall asleep, and the only explanation I could muster was that I must have gotten rid of the thing and forgotten about it. I decided it was for the best, and that it was time to move on, but still my thoughts never strayed far from that broken part of me. To make matters worse, it became harder to convince myself that my imagination was playing tricks on me when I glimpsed my hand in my peripheral vision, creeping along the counter or peeking out from under my bed, or always sliding along the upright piano which dominated my small apartment. Whenever I got these visions before I used to check the glass jar and reassure myself that I wasn't losing my mind. But now, with it empty, there was no haven from these disturbing fancies. I had to drink more before I could fall asleep after that, but there was nowhere to hide in my dreams. All night I'd hear the piano playing in my sleep, the frenzied pace of the notes growing ever faster, until all at once I woke with a discordant crash. I don't know how long I lay awake listening to the sound of the soft melody which followed. Long enough to be sure I wasn't imagining it. Long enough to know that I was utterly alone in my apartment, lying there on my side, listening to the music. I got a vivid flashback of lying amidst the broken glass of my overturned truck. "Hello? Is someone there?" my voice called out tentatively. It had come from me, but I don't remember ever intending to speak aloud to give cadence to my waking nightmare. The music stopped playing the moment I spoke. Of course, I told myself that's because you were dreaming and now you're not. I checked the glass jar by my bed again, knowing it would be empty, but still feeling unsettled to find it so. It wasn't even 4 a.m. yet, but I didn't want to go back to sleep and risk another dream. I got up and put my bathrobe on, stumbling my way to the kitchen to make myself some coffee. My sleepy eyes stared at the coffee machine for nearly a minute before I was certain that I hadn't turned it on. The coffee had already started brewing before I had even turned on the kitchen light. A rapid progression of chords on the piano had me jump. I lurched into the other room, catching a blur of movement rushing past me back to the kitchen. There was no denying it this time. Broken bones splitting through the skin, fingers twisted back on themselves. I stared at my hand crawling up the kitchen counter like some sort of giant spider. My hand withdrew a mug from the shelf and poured my coffee, pushing it across the counter toward me when I didn't move to accept its gift. Apparently misreading my confusion, the hand then retrieved a nearly empty bottle of Irish whiskey and poured it into the cup, stirring the contents with its twisted pinky finger, then pushing it along the counter again, more insistently this time, so that some of the liquid sloshed out. Slowly, tentatively, I reached out to take the offered mug, peering inside. "If you're intending to poison me," I said. The hand leaped backwards, pinky and thumb pointing at the front, as if covering its mouth in shock. I made a show of taking a long drink, wondering whether the alcohol would help me reorient me, or drive me further into this pit of madness. "If you're poisoning me, though, couldn't you do it a little faster?" I asked. "I'm tired of waiting." I set the mug down in front of the hand, and it was quick to scurry away on its fingertips. It soon returned, however, this time carrying a small vial of white powder. Making no pretense to hide as it poured the contents into my mug, I drank again and again, as many times as it was refilled and offered to me. I don't know how long until weariness and the substances I consumed lured me back to bed, but I did not intend to wake again. For the first time since my accident, I felt that my soul had already left my body. The air was filled with a slow, methodical melody as I drifted off to sleep. I just remember breathing relaxed, and even to the music, waiting for it to stop, to know the hand was creeping away from the piano. I felt each breath leave my body, willing myself not to fight it if I woke with the hand around my neck. But there was no sign of the hand when I woke, nothing to remain of the nightmare I endured, except a brand new steel harmonica submerged in the glass jar beside my bed. That's it. That's the end of the story. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you very, very much for listening. It does mean the world to me. If you liked the video or this podcast episode, well, in the context of YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you'd like the video and maybe leave your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. And if you really enjoyed this story, then maybe consider picking up a copy and supporting the author. And let me know if you do so that I can give you a big hearty thank you and like your comment. So there is that. If you'd like to support the channel even more, there is a Patreon that is available for early access goodies and whatnot. And there's also a Discord that you can come hang out in if you so desire. So with all that said, thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one.